invasion of another Philippine island. Troops of the 3rd Battalion, 182nd Regiment, Americal Division, land at Talisay Point, Cebu. The attack follows a bombardment by cruisers and destroyers of the 7th Fleet. Opposition is moderate on the beach, although our troops are brought under small arms and mortar fire.
"80 years since the Talisay landing, a pivotal moment in the liberation of Cebu and fulfillment of McArthur's promise."
On the shores of Talisay, Cebu, history came crashing like waves.
Where great Allied forces landed on March 16, 1945.
Marking the liberation from the Japanese occupation during World War II.
While MacArthur is famously linked to Leyte, Talisay holds its own chapter of courage and triumph, now immortalized by life-size statues near Larawan Beach.
On March 26, 2025, the Philippines solemnly marked the 18th anniversary of one of the most defining events in its World War II history, the Talisay landing. This event, part of the broader American campaign to liberate the Philippines from Japanese occupation, was more than just a tactical amphibious assault. It was a fulfillment of a promise, a critical milestone in the march of Allied forces through the Visayas, and a testament to the enduring spirit of cooperation between Filipino guerrillas and American troops under the overall command of General Douglas MacArthur. Who is General Douglas MacArthur? General of the Army, Douglas MacArthur served as a career Army officer for the majority of his life. MacArthur, one of the few individuals to achieve a 5-star rank, notably served in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War, a recipient of the Medal of Honor and 17 other medals. He distinguished himself as a talented, brave, and able military commander. Although a controversial figure, MacArthur's decades of service stand as a testament to his dedication, passion, and ambition.
When I joined the Army, even before the turn of the century, it was the fulfillment of all my boyish hopes and dreams. The world has turned over many times since I took the oath on line at West Point, and the hopes and dreams have long since vanished. But I still remember the refrain of one of the most popular barrack ballads of that day, which proclaimed most proudly that old soldiers never die. They just fade away. And like the old soldier of that battle, I now close my military career and just fade away. An old soldier who tried to do his duty as God gave him the light to see that duty. Goodbye.
October 20, 1944, General Douglas MacArthur addressed the Filipino people by radio from a beach on the island of Leyte.
Is the voice of freedom, General MacArthur speaking. People of the Philippines, I have returned. By the grace of Almighty God, our forces stand again on Philippine soil, soil consecrated in the blood of our two peoples. We have come dedicated and committed to the task of destroying every vestige of enemy control over your daily lives and of restoring upon a foundation of indestructible strength the liberties of your people. At my side is your president, Sergio Osmeña, worthy successor of that great patriot Manuel Quezon with members of his cabinet. The seat of your government is now therefore firmly reestablished on Philippine soil. The hour of your redemption is here. Your patriots have demonstrated an unswerving and resolute devotion to the principles of freedom that challenges the best that is written on the pages of human history. I now call upon your supreme effort that the enemy may know from the temper of an aroused and outraged people within that he has a force there to contend with no less violent than is the force committed from without. Rally to me. Let the indomitable spirit of Bataan and Corregidor lead on. As the lines of battle roll forward to bring you within the zone of operations, rise and strike. Strike at every favorable opportunity. For your homes and hearths, strike. For future generations of your sons and daughters, strike. In the name of your sacred dead, strike. Let no heart be faint. Let every arm be steeled. The guidance of divine God points the way. Follow in his name to the holy grail of righteous victory.
The dramatic culmination of a campaign by the general that had lasted more than 2 years, having faced both the enemy in the battlefield and naysayers among his fellow commanders. The landing did not mark the end of the battle for the Philippines, but instead, the beginning of one of the most hard-fought and brutal campaigns in the deadly final months of the war in the Pacific.
To fully appreciate the significance of the Talisay landing, one must understand its connection to General Douglas MacArthur's overarching vision for the Pacific War. After being forced to retreat from the Philippines in 1942, MacArthur made his famous vow.
I said to the people of the Philippines whence I came, I shall return. Tonight, I repeat those words. I shall return.
That promise was not merely personal. It was symbolic of the Allies' determination to free the Philippines and reassert justice and sovereignty in a region devastated by imperial aggression. The landing at Talisay Beach, Cebu in 1945 was carried out by the 132nd and 182nd Infantry Regiments of the U.S. American Division. Their mission was clear: to capture the strategic island of Cebu from entrenched Japanese forces. The invasion was part of Operation Victor II and followed the liberation of Leyte and the successful landings in Luzon. It reflected General MacArthur's broader strategy to retake the Philippine archipelago island by island, inching closer to Japan with each victory.
The men of the American Division landed on the sandy shores of Talisay, 4 miles southwest of Cebu City, under a blanket of naval gunfire from Task Force 74. Initially, they encountered only light resistance, a silence that belied the deadly obstacles hidden beneath the surface. Japanese forces had turned Cebu into a minefield. The beaches and approaches were laced with explosives, and the inland routes were defended with booby traps and ambushes. The cost of progress was high. Soldiers fell not just to bullets, but to the unseen hand of war's cruel ingenuity. Among the most harrowing battles was the engagement at Gochin Hill. From March 29 to 31, the 182nd Infantry Regiment faced fierce resistance as it attempted to dislodge Japanese defenders from fortified positions. A massive explosion, detonated by the Japanese within an ammunition depot, killed over 50 American soldiers. The intensity and bravery demonstrated in this battle earned the 182nd Infantry the only regimental level unit citation in the history of the American Division. But the Americans were not alone in their struggle. Roughly 8,500 Filipino guerrillas under Lieutenant Colonel James M. Cushing fought side by side with U.S. forces. These resistance fighters, having waged a shadow war against the Japanese for years, provided essential intelligence and support. They guided American troops through jungle trails, marked minefields, and engaged in direct combat. Their collaboration with the U.S. forces was instrumental in breaking Japanese lines and securing the island.
Dito dumaong ang American Division ng US 8th Army na pinamunuan ni na Commander General William H. Arnold at Captain Albert T. Sprague Sr. Tinutulungan ng mga Pilipinong Generalya ng 8th Military District sa pamumuno ni Lieutenant Colonel James M. Cushing, March 26, 1945. Ang pagdaong ay bahagi ng Operation Victor II na pinatupad ni General Douglas MacArthur. Nasakop ang mga lawigan ng Cebu, Bohol at Negros. Ito ay nabunga dahil sa mga Hapon ng lungsod ng Cebu, March 27, 1945. At pagsuko ng mga Hapon sa lalawigan, August 28, 1945. The landings at Leyte in October 1944 and Luzon in January 1945 were the most publicized milestone of that return. But in the places like Cebu, far from the global headlines, where the true price of liberation was paid in blood and courage. The operation at Talisay helped secure a vital supply route and removed one of the final Japanese strongholds in the central Philippines. With each conquered islands, MacArthur's vision neared completion.
What stories or memories have been passed down to you by older relatives or neighbors about the Talisay landing in 1945?
Pamilya, sige yung story about sa landing sa in 1945 kay ako yung lola o akong auntie. San ningon sila ito nga that time kay mga patanon po yun sila and dugay na kayo. They still remember nga unsa to kagubot ang Talisay. Sa ilang mga na-feel kay they know nga deep inside nakaingon sila nga finally nanagyo someone ang makahelp nila. Naka-remember pagali ko ato nga time nga part sa story sa akong lola nga contact yun kami sa ato nga time kay naiusa sa mga which is ang akong uncle like igsoon sa akong lola nga they come in contact yun sa mga Americans nga niari sa Talisay kay usa siya sa ni-help sa mga Americans to navigate sa kabukiran and swerte pala gali nga naka-survive siya ato nga time. Tungkol sa story sa lola naka-realize ko nga ang place sa mga karon kay dili ra Talisay but naa siya deep nga history gali in terms of our kuan gyud sa ato nga hitabo diri sa Philippines.
How does the annual commemoration of the Talisay landing, like the Takas sa Talisay reenactments, shape your sense of local pride or identity?
Nakapainomdom siya na ako nga we have a legacy to uphold. Dili lang kay ang pag-remember sa naitabo sa una but to live with the same courage and dignity. If magtakas sa Talisay nagana every year sa diri sa Talisay every March 26 kay for me dili regali siya event for entertainment or kalinawan sa mga tao but it is somehow to commemorate sa mga people na part of my history, especially for me nga kanang kibalo sa history sa Talisay. Ni serve siya as to freshen my memories sa nahitabo and pagkuhan sa nga unsa ang nahitabo sa una. Every year if magtanaw mi sa mga reenactment sa mga nahitabo during sa Takas sa Talisay kay makita yun nga unsa mga sacrifices ang gibuhat sa atong mga ancestors. Dili lang siya for show but for me nagpakita yun nga unsa kada kong papel ang Talisay sa unsay naa nato karon sa Pilipinas.
In your opinion, what should younger generations of Cebuanos and Filipinos remember most about the Talisay landing and the role of Filipino guerrillas during the World War?
For me, the most important thing that need to be remembered kay especially as part of the youth nga kabatanunan sa Talisay kay what we are having right now, what we are commemorate ng Takas sa Talisay is not just handed by us but gina-fight gali sa ato mga ancestors nga they shed blood, tears and sweat. Isa dili line of work nila to take arms to fight kay sila ordinary ra nga tao gali nga usa ka maguma, mangisda or manggagawa kay they still choose to fight, not for themselves ra but for us Filipino. Mao na ako ang gipangando nga dili na to makalimtan na ang history is not just in books but it's in our land, in our people, and in our choices.
Along the shores of Talisay City stands a powerful symbol of freedom, the Talisay Landing Monument. Cast in bronze, it depicts 3 soldiers, 2 American GIs and a Filipino guerrilla fighter, side by side charging forward with resolve. Their figures capture a moment frozen in history, March 26, 1945, when Allied forces landed on this very beach to liberate Cebu from Japanese occupation. More than just a tribute to war, the statue embodies unity, sacrifice, and the courage of a shared struggle, reminding every passerby of the day when the tide of freedom returned to the island's shores.
Every March 26, Talisay City, Cebu commemorates a significant moment in its history, the Takas sa Talisay or the Talisay Landing of 1945. Today, the landings sa Talisay are remembered through an annual reenactment at a monument in the Poblacion, erected sometime in 2008.
Ilang giandam ang ilang kaugalingon para sa usa ka dili sigurado nga guban. Sila idagsa sa isla sa Cebu, nagikuptan sa mga Hapon, uban ang ilang determinasyon na magdala ug paglaom ug kagawasan sa mga Pilipino. Nagpabilin nga taas ang ilang moral bisan pa sa hulga sa kaaway. Sa matag liko sa ilang pananaw, nagdaliab ang ilang paglaom alang sa usa ka mas malinawon nga kaugmaon.
In previous years, the event was always honored by the presence of multiple veterans who were eyewitnesses to the landings. In recent years, those veterans have passed away and links to what was lost to time.
The 80th anniversary of the Talisay landing, commemorated in March 2025, was more than a memorial. It was a reaffirmation of historical memory. Veterans, descendants of guerrilla fighters, historians, and public officials gathered to honor those who fought and died. Monuments were adorned with flowers, speeches were given, and the sands of Talisay once again bore witness to a nation's gratitude.
I believe this is very important because in the world of social media today, in the world of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, sometimes we forget the freedom and we take for granted the freedom that we have today and everyone who has fought to give us all the freedom we have today. Sometimes we forget that people sacrifice their lives for us to value life like we are valuing it today. So to answer the question on why do we celebrate Takas every year and now we are on our 80th year, it is because for 2 things. In my opinion, 2 things. 1 is to honor the lives lost, and 2 is to learn from history and to learn lessons because of what we learned from history.
The Talisay landing remains a significant chapter in Philippine history, symbolizing resilience, strategic collaboration, and the collective effort to restore peace and sovereignty to the nation.
When MacArthur vowed, "I shall return," it wasn't just towards the people of Leyte. It was a pledge to the entire Filipino nation under siege.
Today, the echoes of artillery and the cries of war have long faded from the shores of Cebu. But the memory of that pivotal landing, the valor of the 132nd and 182nd Infantry Regiments, and the indomitable spirit of the Filipino guerrillas remain etched in the heart of a free Philippines. And through it all, the figure of Douglas MacArthur stands, his promise fulfilled, his strategy realized, his legacy immortalized in the liberation of a people he vowed never to abandon.
myself